That's not the way. Corporations are people, my friend. We can raise taxes on. Of course they are. Everything corporations earn ultimately goes to people. So, where do you think it goes?
Now, remember that line here from Mitt Romney in the 2012 campaign? Well, if corporations are people, they certainly don't have to play by the same rules that you and I do. A story today making that point and getting Andrew Morton a little amped up this morning.
You know, Rich, corporations may be people, but if they are, too many of them are just jerks, and they never seem to suffer for it. The Times today with this story about how corporations are forcing consumers into positions where they have no right to sue if something goes wrong with the products people buy. It cites a new policy by General Mills, makers of Cheerios and Bisquick. Quote, consumers give up their right to sue the company if they download coupons, join it in online communities like Facebook, enter a company-sponsored sweepstakes or contest, or interact with it in a variety of other ways. You have to go to arbitration instead, so if a bad Cheerio kills your child, no recourse in court. Another company, Whataburger, a Texas-based fast food franchise I used to love, quote, hung a sign on its door warning customers that simply by entering the premises, they agreed to settle any disputes through arbitration. So what's so bad about binding arbitration instead of going to court? If you've ever had a problem with a credit card company, you know the arbitrators are picked and hired by the companies you're in a dispute with. The arbitrators want their business, so who do you think they're going to side with? Not you. A 2007 study of credit card arbitration cases found consumers lost 94% of all of those arbitration cases. And that's just one of the ways the corporations, which so many people think are people, seem to have it much better than real people do. Let's say you try to make a buck laundering drug money. You go to prison, right? Corporations don't, not HSBC Bank. They admitted to knowingly laundering drug cartel money and paid a $2 billion fine. No one went to jail and HSBC remains in business. What if you kill someone? You go to prison, maybe to death row. General Motors just admitted it knew about a faulty ignition part that it admits killed 13 people and maybe hundreds more. They pay a fine, no one goes to jail, and GM is still in business. And if you file for bankruptcy, your credit gets ruined, it stains your finances for years. But businesses, like every major U.S. airline has, can reorganize and stay alive and actually profit by taking pension money that it had promised to its workers. If you steal their money, you go to prison. They take their workers' money, and their CEOs get bonuses. Rich?
Now, you know, anybody's ever gone skydiving, they always make you sign a waiver saying, hey, chute doesn't open, can't come after us. But you all know that any attorney that's competent, you can still sue them. Does this indemnify them enough, you think, that you really can't have a case?
I really don't know. I mean, I think it has to do in some cases with the action. The burger chain, just by walking through the door, I'm not sure that holds up in court. But if you're doing something like pushing for a coupon, there may be some language in there that says, yeah, I agree to it. We talk about all the time about the fine print in your credit card statement or on iTunes. Those usually tend to hold up pretty well.
I'm taking Andrew's example this morning. If all of a sudden there's some peanut related product in the Cheerios, the kid has it and it has terrible allergy. This is highly possible. You can't go after. You got to go to arbitration. That's outrageous.
Rich, we live in such a litigious society. I'm not saying that what they did isn't over the top, but I think that the derivation of it is the fact that people sue for everything all the time. You know, when I have an hour drive in my car to work every day, and all I hear are, the ambulance chasers saying, call us if you broke a leg, you got into a car accident, or whatever it may be. That's the problem is that the courts are absolutely flooded with these baseless lawsuits, and it's causing.
That's factual nonsense.
How is that factual nonsense?
There are less suits now than there have ever been. They are being restricted right and left. When people are injured in a democracy, they should have a right to access to a court. Suing itself is not judgments. People can sue for frivolous things, but the court system has never tilted so heavily against individual human beings as it does now.
But let me put this into wider perspective too, in just the whole corporations versus regular people. I mean, debates about the minimum wage and just trying to fight for a decent living from corporations. Corporations have political power now that individuals, for the most part, absolutely do not have. No, but it seems like the balance is overwhelmingly being tipped in the favor of corporations. You've got productivity that's way up since 2007, which basically means you've got workers who are doing more work at the office and making less money for it in the process too. So everybody's afraid to do anything that ruffles the feathers of their bosses at work because it's hard to find a job. It just seems like the overall scale between people and corporations is tilting so far to corporations on so many levels. And this is just another one, and that's why it got me so angry.
To piggyback on that, Anthony, the thing that really ticked me off of this is for you to just purchase a product and the ease of doing so online or whatever else. Think about your personal information. And think about how often now that information falls in the wrong hands or whatever. They're creating profiles of us, and they're not just keeping it for their own database so you get a deal on it, they're passing it around. The idea that they're going to indemnify themselves if I want to buy a box of cereals, I mean, and I have to check the fine print now on it, it just seems that we're going down a road that, for me at least, I'm not comfortable that, you know, it's if I don't catch something here that I'm basing ceding over rights here to a firm that I'm paying money to purchase a product.
I think the practical solution is what I do with apps, because I don't want to give away all of my personal information or be tracked by certain ones. I don't download it. And if there's a General Mills product, then I won't buy it. I think that's the practical thing that a person will have to do if they don't want, you know, to have to deal with the situation.
The burden now is on you as the consumer.
It is.
And
Well,
it
it's
didn't
always,
used to be.
but it's always
People
on us.
don't know what's in the fine
Personal
print.
responsibility.
Once they know that, maybe they can take your advice.
Yeah.
But until it's made clear what you're actually signing up for, and people are just going to get fooled into these giving up their rights.
This keeps up. The only way to avoid it is going to be to live in a hut in the woods, trap your own food, and just cut off all communication with the
You ever
outside
see
world.
Richard in Montana in the summer? Yeah.
It's just not
This
practical in
is-
today's
this is
world.
not- wait, let's talk about this.
Okay, coming back. Michael Bloomberg putting his money once again where his mouth is. He's going after the NRA. Former New York City mayor. He's going to throw $50 million behind an anti-gun group poised to rival the NRA. The question is, will it be successful? Will it get bipartisan support?